Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 14, Organizational Structure of the Rural Local Bodies. And our topic is 73rd Amendment Act and Powers and Functions. Before 73rd Amendment to the Constitution also, the panchayats were assigned some traditional functions such as maintenance rather than developmental responsibilities. The 73rd Amendment has made PRIs responsible for maintenance as well as developmental activities. The Article 243G of the 73rd Amendment enlists the power, authority and responsibilities of the panchayats as under. Though the amendment has provided with a list of functions under the provisions of 11th schedule, it has not mentioned clearly about the level of PRIs which would perform the particular type of functions. In conformity of the 73rd Amendment Act, all the states have amended their respective Panchayat Acts and enlisted the functions assigned to the different levels of PRIs in the respective states. Here in this juncture, it is essential to discuss the functions at different levels of PRIs across the states. The functions enlisted in the different 13 states Panchayat Acts are classified into three categories: general administrative functions, developmental and social, and maintenance. Now let us discuss the next point, functional responsibilities of Gram Panchayat (GP). At this level, administrative functions include preparation of the annual plans for the development of the village panchayat, preparation of the annual budget, mobilizing relief in natural calamities, removal of encroachment on public properties, organizing voluntary labor and contribution or community works, maintenance of statistics of village, any other function entrusted by the Panchayat Samiti, Jila Panchayat or state or central government on an agency basis is most commonly found across the states. Apart from this, village defense, information and publicity and the constitution of Nyaya Panchayat were found in Andhra, West Bengal and Maharashtra. In case of developmental and the social activities are agriculture, social forestry, animal husbandry, rural housing, education, etc. Next is a maintenance function which includes rural electrifications, rural sanitation and conservation. Now let us discuss the next point, block level Panchayat Samiti PS functions. In this level, general administrative functions include providing relief in natural calamities and other works entrusted by the Jila Parishad. Some of the functions like trust, social education and village defense corps, publicity and information were very common. Regarding developmental social activities concerned are agriculture, animal husbandry, fisheries, social farm and forestry. Among the maintenance functions, the market and fair maintenance, health, family welfare, sanitation and medical and cultural activities and sports were common responsibilities of the PS in many states. Now let us discuss the next point, Jila Parishad, Jila Panchayat ZP level function. At this level, the major responsibility of general administrative function is of overall supervision, coordination, consolidation, integration and implementation of development schemes at block and district levels, preparation of plans for the economic development and social justice of the entire district, and securing the execution of plans, projects, schemes, or other PS works were commonly found in almost all the states. Amongst the developmental variety, the agriculture including extension and horticulture, animal husbandry, dairy and poultry, social forestry, fuel and fodder education were quite common among all the states. Health and hygiene and family welfare, medical and sanitation were only responsibility of maintenance variety commonly performed by 2 or 3 levels of PRIs in most of the states. In case of maintenance variety of functions, the situation is slightly better as compared to the development and social. Most of these functions are performed by the GP only. In sum, with respect to development and social variety of functions, the demarcation of the areas of responsibilities in the state acts are not defined clearly. Now let us move to the next point, administrative framework. The present administrative system of India is inherited from the colonial rulers, and it is this structure which has primarily been entrusted with the functions and responsibilities of the rural development. Some modifications have been grafted on to it from time to time. The revenue and general administrative organization and structure have been mobilized for rural development functions. Changes have been made since the inception of the Community Development Program in 1952, which for the first time attempted in a big way to set up development administration right onto the field level, and this included induction of technical expertise and teaching of manpower to undertake various schemes under the Community Development Program. It was the Grow More Food Inquiry Committee which in its report submitted in 1952 stressed for the first time the need for an integrated organizational structure for rural development. It also laid down the blueprint for the setup at various levels: national, state, district, block and village. It recommended the establishment of the taluk as a development block covering 100 to 120 villages under the charge of a development officer for the block, who would be the revenue division officer, assisted by 4 technical officers for agriculture, animal husbandry, cooperation and engineering, and village level workers, 1 for 5 to 10 villages. The report also recommended that the development activities at the district should be unified under the collector assisted by the specialized officers, and the state level there should be a cabinet committee presided over by the chief minister and a non-official board for coordinating policies and finalizing joint action. The blueprint was given shape with the launching of the Community Development Program CDP in 1952, followed by the National Extension Services 1953, which covered the whole country. Under the CDP program, the development block was created as the basic unit of the planning and integrated rural development comprising agriculture, animal husbandry, village industry, education, health, social welfare, with special emphasis on self-help and public participation. The more striking administrative innovations made by community development program were identification of block as the unit of the administration, appointment of extension officers who were subject specialists, appointment of the village level workers for a group of villages as multi-purpose development functionary, through whom programs of different departments were administered. Role of development commissioners as the coordinating functionary at the state level. Coordination and integration of development programs of different departments at the block level and mobilization of people's participation in development. The organizational setup conceived at the time of implementation of the community development program has broadly continued till now, with some changes introduced at the district level during the fourth and fifth plan periods. With the shift in the strategy of the rural development programs and the launching of special programs, the strategy of rural development has gradually begun focusing on the area based and clientele specific development. Now let us discuss the next point, administrative setup. Initially, the implementation of CDP was entrusted to the Planning Commission, a special organization like Community Project Administration headed by the administrator was created for this purpose. He was to be assisted by a central committee comprising members of the Planning Commission and some central ministers, with the Prime Minister as its chairman. This committee was entrusted with the task of laying down broad policies relating to the program and supervising its progress. Considering the growing magnitude and importance of the work, a separate Ministry of Community Development was set up in 1956 to deal with the subjects like allocation of blocks, financial assistance, supply of equipment to states, training, research, overall direction, and monitoring and implementation of the program. The nomenclature and status of ministry has been changed from time to time with a shift in emphasis in rural development programs. In 1958, the subject of village panchayats was transferred to the Ministry of Community Development from the Ministry of Health and Corporation, from Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and the ministry was renamed as the Ministry of Community Development and Cooperation. The ministry was organized into two departments, the Departments of Community Development and Departments of Cooperation. With the introduction of Panchayati Raj in 1959, as suggested by the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, the ministry was redesigned as Ministry of Community Development, Panchayati Raj and Cooperation, but after a short period it was again redesignated as the Ministry of Community Development and Cooperation. During the early 1960s, the emphasis of rural development programs shifted towards increase in agricultural production. As a result, the Intensive Agricultural Area Program IAAP in 1964. In order to implement IAAP in 1966, the Ministry of Community Development and Cooperation For the effective supervision of the program, special machinery was created at the center, emphasizing the need for coordination at the central level to implement the program effectively. The Estimates Committee of Parliament pointed out it was reorganized that effective coordination must be maintained at all levels among the agencies concerned with the implementation of an integrated program of rural development, especially agricultural production. As a result, at the center, the Department of Community Development and Agriculture have not only been placed under one minister, but at the official level under one secretary also. In its draft plan 1978 to 83, the Planning Commission reviewed the approach to rural development, especially with reference to the poor. It visualized an integrated plan of development at the block level, within which a beneficiary-oriented plan for the poor was to be appropriately accommodated. Consequently, the IRDP was launched in 1978-79 in 2,300 development blocks all over the country. The Small Farmers Development Agencies SFDA were also merged with IRDP in 1980, when IRDP was extended to all blocks in the country for employment generation. The National Rural Employment Program NREP was launched in 1980 as a modification of the earlier Food for Work program, which had been launched in 1977. However, doubts were raised with regard to achieving the objectives of the IRDP and NREP through the existing administrative arrangements of multiple agencies looking after various special programs in the district. The Government of India issued instructions in 1980 for the integration of the administrative arrangement both at the state and district levels. State level coordination committee and district rural development agencies were set up. The Ministry of Rural Reconstruction was constituted in 1979 and continued till 1982. In January 1985, it became the Department of Rural Development in the Ministry of Agriculture, with a separate Department of Rural Development as one of its constituents. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self-Learning podcast.